Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And one of my subscribers sent me a link on the Facebook fan page letting me know that Kinobody, the wise one, the Bruce Wayne of the fitness industry, as he likes to call himself, as he markets himself, has made a video talking about how to build your quads. How to build your quads. You guys love it when I do this. Here we go. Because he is Bruce Wayne, after all.
Oh, Bruce. You've merely adapted the squat. I was born to it, molded by it. I didn't have a day off from squatting until I was already a man. And by then, it was nothing to me but a weakness.
And so here's what he has to say about the split squat.
We've got to keep the legs proportionate. So the exercise I've found to be the most effective are the Bulgarian split squats, because it really builds the VMO and it builds your legs nicer. So it's proportionate. You don't get top heavy. It gives your legs that superhero sleek look. So over here.
Damn. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. All right, and here's the funny thing about this. And we're going to get to a point in a minute as far as efficiency goes, but he acts like the split squat has some magical ability to recruit the VMO and, you know, the lower heads of the quadriceps. The two lower heads that the normal barbell squat doesn't. You know, he's got this idea that you're going to build carrot-shaped legs just because you barbell squat. Well, I mean, you have to carry an extra body fat. I mean, guys like me with a little more fat, sure. But it has nothing to do with muscle buildup. It's nothing to do with muscle buildup. He's under some impression that it has a different ability, but then you watch him perform it, and it's the same joint angle, right? If the hip and the joint angle are the same on the split squat as on your barbell squat, isn't it working the same muscles? So where's he getting these ideas? And this has really messed up his training and made him weak. Where's he getting this idea? I don't know, because you do see some power lifters in the equipped world who have less quads. Why they have less quads? Anybody know? I'll leave people to think about that. Because of the knee wraps and the squat suits, it helps them lift the weight out of the bottom. What do we know based on the biomechanics of any form of squat? I don't care whether it's a high bar squat, a low bar squat, a front squat, a Bulgarian split squat, which is not what he's doing. He's just doing like a one-legged, I guess, lunge or something. And people call that a Bulgarian split squat, but that's not that. We covered that the other day, what that really is, the history of it. What determines what part of the quads get recruited on the squat? How deep you go, right? The deeper you go, as you get to parallel, you get more involvement by the lower heads of the quads. And if you short stroke the reps, if you're doing half squats, the upper thigh gets more stimulation than the lower part of the quads do. What do a lot of equipped power lifters do? They use knee wraps. A lot of knee wraps give you 50 to up to, in some cases, 100 pounds. How do they do it? By springing you out of the bottom. So in other words, your quads do not have to be as strong to lift the same weight out of the bottom. In other words, a guy who might be strong enough to squat 500 pounds raw can put a knee wrap on, and he gets so much leverage out of the bottom from the knee wraps where the quads would be working the hardest that he might squat 550, he might squat 575, right, with those knee wraps. And then you start throwing a suit on, that springs you out of the bottom because it helps move the hip up, not the knee joint. It helps store energy down in the hips and push you up also. And guys sometimes get 200-300 pounds out of all this. Okay, so then they end up with a different leg look. How many raw squatters who are really strong on the squat do you see who do not have big quads? Guys who do completely raw, no knee wraps, they all have massive quads. How many Olympic lifters who do deep high bar squats, who've never done a one-legged squat in their life, who power clean? Well, they do full cleans. They do snatches. They do back squats. They do front squats. How many of them have massive quads? All of them. Almost all of them. And they don't have the carrot-shaped leg he's talking about unless they're real fat. And it's not because of lack of quad. It's just the extra fat on the upper thigh. So why in the world would he think this? Not based on reality. Now, there's two problems with what he's doing. Number one, he wants to talk about oftentimes superhero performance. You have a guy who basically has a strong upper body. I mean, we're all going to agree. I think we can all agree. Kinobody, Alan O'Gallagher, that's his real name. Kinobody has a pretty strong upper body. Yeah, he's pretty decently strong on the flat bench, the incline, the standing press, weighted chin up, weighted pull up. I think he does weighted pull ups. You know what? And I would tell guys, if you want a big upper body, those are 4 pretty good exercises. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. That if you just did those 4 exercises alone and you got really strong with them, you would have a jacked upper body. Anybody care to disagree with that? I don't think so. If you do, you're a damn fool. Yeah, those 4 exercises will give you a jacked upper body. He does have a jacked upper body. He doesn't have legs. He goes and then tries to do barbell exercises, and he has basically strength levels that are insanely low for someone with 2 years of lifting experience. He front squats less than 300 pounds, and he hit a 405 deadlift. That's the heaviest we've ever seen him deadlift. He went and tried to work on these lifts, couldn't perform them with any strength. You know why? Because he's doing one-legged work. The problem with one-legged work is that it might, in theory, it might develop your legs. It's difficult to develop your legs with one-legged work. Contrary to popular belief, your legs will grow slower than they will from doing bilateral movements. All right, that's been observed for years looking at athletes. Coaches note this. But you also don't develop the core and back strength to go with the legs. And it actually will make you a weaker athlete to do too much one-legged work. We can get into the merits of it all day long, whether it's useful or not. But if that's what your primary focus is, your trunk, your core, your torso, all of that will end up being disproportionately weak. And when you need to be able to perform in an endeavor where you need a strong core, you need your trunk to be strong in some athletic endeavor, it won't be there. You're not going to be as athletic as you think you are. That's the problem he has. He doesn't have the strength because maybe he's done a bunch of quad work, but when he actually has to get under a barbell and he needs his actual trunk to be stable, he can't deadlift a respectable weight, he can't front squat a respectable weight, he can't back squat a respectable weight. He's all upper body strength, that's all he has. He can't perform as a result of doing this. Now, here's the other big point. This is a guy who wants to get people in and out of the gym fast. He wants fast, efficient workouts. And he's saying, well, maybe you don't want massive legs. And a lot of his followers say, I don't want massive legs. I want some leg development. I don't want massive legs. I want my quads to grow. Okay, well, squat deep. And here's the other point. If you're talking about efficient use of your time in the gym, how many sets do you have to do to stimulate the same minuscule amount of growth? In other words, if you say, okay, well, I only want quads big enough to squat 300 pounds for a couple reps ass to grass, because that'll give you the quad size he's talking about. Which one's going to require you to do less total sets in the gym? Just going ahead and doing a high bar squat or doing these split squats? Which one's going to be less amount of time involved in the gym? You have to do each leg independently. It takes longer. It takes longer. And then you're going to get less core development. So then you've got to do extra ab work on top of it to develop the same level of abdominals and core. It ends up being a larger time expenditure, and your legs will still grow slower. You'll get there faster if you just go ahead and do the big barbell movement. You'll get there faster. It's not making efficient use of your time in the gym, which is a big part of what he promotes. He runs these minimalist workouts, right? They're fairly short sessions, not doing very many of them. Well, why would you go do one-legged work so that you have to do twice as many sets in the same workout if your goal is to get in and out faster? And you get less trunk, less lower back, less abdominal, everything else stimulation, so you probably have to do more work in those too. So now you're going to have to add in extra exercises because you chose the fluffier movement. It doesn't even fit in with his overall philosophy. It's just being flat lazy and being inefficient and ineffective with your use of time. And I get it. He doesn't want big legs. A lot of his guys only want legs of so much size. You'll get there faster and with less time in the gym if you just pick the correct movement. And doing a split squat doesn't have anything to do with lower quad development more than a barbell squat does. It's the way people perform and half rep the exercise, or you've been putting knee wraps and other stuff on that's reducing the quad involvement. It isn't biomechanically possible. It's not biomechanically possible for a split squat to stimulate more lower quad growth than a normal deep barbell squat. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. Again, absolute ridiculousness and not understanding training, not understanding biomechanics, and this is what we have come to expect from Kinobody. I'll acknowledge it. At least he recommends good exercises for the upper body, right? We agree with those are good exercises. And if you build a strength base on those other exercises he recommends, you'll develop a pretty good upper body, right? You'll develop pretty good upper body. But his lower body advice is so laughable, inefficient, lazy, and ridiculous that you've just got to wonder where he comes up with it. Hell, he's always worried about jumping higher and everything else. Maybe if you did some real heavy work for your lower body, you'd be able to jump higher. Just throwing that out there. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.